Hello, Miss Alanis. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well, how was your 4th of July?
Oh, it was great. We had family and friends come over.
Oh, okay, that's great. Yeah, we did the similar thing. We had some family and friends come over and watch some fireworks and barbecued a little bit.
Okay, well, that sounds good. Well, thank you so much for being so well prepared for this.
But before we get started, I did my own self-evaluation, so you can compare against the evaluation that you're doing as well.
Thank you for being so prepared. I see here that you have worked really hard in executing lots of things for your projects. And what did you do? What kind of strategy did you use to help out with the project baseline?
Okay. So as you know, as a company, executing to the baseline is very key to our success. So a lot of our training is built up around that. So I really focused on the baseline documents, which is the schedule development and also my man-hour budget. And those are the items that I tracked every week to make sure that I was executing towards that baseline.
Okay, I see that very well here on your strengths and accomplishments. What did you do to make sure the quality standards were met?
So as you know, not only within the company do we have quality requirements, but also our clients will also do audits on our quality as well. So I understood those items, and what I did is I employed a strategy where we use checklists to have the engineers do a self-check, and then also for the checkers to use that same checklist when they were going over their checking of the documents.
Okay. Also, I wanted to ask, how are you able to adapt to the new systems in a fairly quick manner?
So I've always been pretty good with computers and technology. It's kind of something that comes pretty easily to me. I'm able to basically self-teach myself through any of the manuals. And also, I also enjoy helping others when we're implementing these new systems as well.
Okay, very good. And I see all this as part of your strengths and accomplishments. There's some things that are needed in areas of improvement. Please, can you describe to me the deviation that may have occurred?
Yes, there was a time during the project where my progress was a little bit behind. I believe that was due to when I developed the schedule, I was a little bit more aggressive on some items than I really had to be. So that's something that I'll take with me into the future.
Now, thinking about our global mindset, what is your current knowledge of the region where you're working, where it's being executed?
So as you know, we're doing a lot of work now in the Middle East. So in the Middle East, I think there's a generalization of maybe the single of a culture that's there. And as I'm learning more and more about the cultures and the people that we're working with, there is a quite large variation between their beliefs. You know, there are some Christians, there are Muslims, but they also have some different beliefs. And so that is an area where I think I need to learn a little bit more about.
I wanted to ask as well, why were more tasks not delegated?
So me being a new supervisor, I'm still used to executing a lot of this work by myself. So in some cases, I find it easier if I were to just execute some of these items myself. But moving forward, I don't think that's the best strategy to employ.
Now, going on to our developmental plan, what methods do you plan on employing?
So to help out with my schedule development skills, I've been doing some research, and I found that there's a strategy called a backwards approach. This is where you not only go from the forward pass, but you do a backward pass, and then that helps you maybe move some activities that aren't so necessary to be done first. You can actually push them back, and I think that would have helped me out as far as my progress during the schedule.
Now, due to the delegation concern, this is affecting your leadership and your teamwork skill set. How can we develop these skills a little bit further?
So my plan, I guess, here is to do a little bit more maybe team building with my team and get to know them a little bit better, understand their strengths and weaknesses, so that way I can build that trust in our relationship. So that way I'm more comfortable with delegating some of these tasks instead of taking on such a burden to myself.
Okay, thank you for having a developmental plan in place. This has come to the end of our interview, and I will look at all the evaluation that I have made about you over time, as well as the paperwork that you gave me on doing a self-evaluation about yourself in order to make my decision.
Okay, all right, well, thank you very much. Okay. Hello, Ms. Alanis, how are you doing?
Great.
So, how was your 4th of July holiday?
It was great to spend it with family.
Very good. Yeah, we did the same thing. We spent some time with the family and, saw the fireworks show. So it was a very nice time. So as you know, we're here today to do your performance assessment. I can see that you did your self-assessment as we asked beforehand. Very good. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at your self-assessment and we'll compare it against our assessment, and then we'll come up with a final draft that we can agree on and sign off. Okay. So let's start with the first area. Let's talk about strengths and accomplishments. So the first focus area that we talk about is baseline execution. So on your past project, we can see you executed to the baseline very good. So what are some strategies that you employed to execute to the baseline?
Before we started the project, I created a draft where we had our goal and the steps that we needed to do in order to implement the project correctly.
Okay, I think it's very good. Yeah, I think having that draft and everybody see it and agree on was a very good strategy. The next focus area is quality. So as you know, we're trying to improve the quality of the projects and the deliverables that we produce. And your project was able to meet some very high quality standards. So what are some strategies that you employed to improve the quality on the project?
At the end of the workday, we had a team of 4 people along with myself, and we went and tested the project to see how it was going to make sure the quality is being met.
Okay, very good. So I think keeping up to date on a daily basis is a very good strategy then. Also, as you know, we're implementing quite a bit of new technologies. So we implemented some of those on your project, and we can see that you were able to easily adapt to those new technologies and also help out some of your other team members as well. So what makes it easy for you to adapt to these new technologies?
It wasn't easy at the beginning, but I recently went back to school and I noticed some of the technology that was being implemented that I was learning. I was able to show the people at my project how to work it.
Oh, okay, very good. Yeah, I think continuing education is something that's very important. So there's always something new to learn. Kind of rolls into the next area that, these areas of improvement. So during the final weeks of the project, we know that your progress went a little bit off the planned progress. So what was occurring during this time?
Yeah, during that time, it was a time of the holiday season, so I really didn't think well about, a lot of people did go home, and I didn't have the workforce to be able to produce the project.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sometimes when you're building these schedules, you do have to take these holidays into account, that people aren't going to be there and they're going to be taking time off. The other area is your global mindset. As we're moving into more of a global execution, we're working with new cultures and things like that. One of those is the cultures in the Middle East. So what is your knowledge of that region?
I grew up in the region actually, and there was a lot of the workers, I was able to I knew a little bit more about the way they did things, the way they expressed themselves. So since I grew up in that culture, I knew that I needed to be sensitive to how they were.
Oh, okay. So also too, we know you're new at being a supervisor and a lead, and we noticed that you were executing quite a bit of the work yourself instead of delegating to some of the other team members. Can you explain why this is occurring?
A lot of the time was because some of the workers that I have working under me, they didn't know quite well how to produce something. So since I'm very knowledgeable in the area, I was able to execute it in a more timely manner than versus me explaining it to them constantly.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that is understandable. So let's talk about the development plan and how we're going to improve on some of these areas that we talked about. So something that we talked about was your development of the schedule as we planned for, as you got a little bit behind on your progress. So what methods do you think about employing to really improve this area?
Yeah, I need to make sure I have a plan B, making sure that if I foresee a holiday, like you said, make sure I have it taken care of on the schedule and have a plan B.
Okay, very good. Also, as we talked about your the delegation issue that we have, where you're taking on quite a bit of responsibility yourself. I mean, you were able to complete this task this time, but in the future, how will you overcome and develop the skill?
I believe before the project gets started, I need to make sure I know everybody's skills, positives and weaknesses as well. And I need to make sure that they actually know how to do the project. For I don't have to be the one doing it. For that way I can just be supervising it.
Yeah, very good. So yeah, understanding the strengths and weaknesses of your team is very important. So that way it really can help you build a real quality plan. Okay. Well, Ms. Alanis, I think we did a very good job. We covered a lot of different areas. We focused on your strengths and accomplishments first. We went over some areas of improvement. And I think we built a plan, I think, that we can implement moving forward to really help address those issues. All right, well, thank you for coming in. Look forward to seeing your execution in the future.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, thank you.